Hi there, my name is Dr. Christine. I'm an energy psychology practitioner, an intuitive, and I also do life purpose coaching. And in today's video, I feel guided to talk about intuition. Um, Let me clarify here that intuition is interchangeable with psychic awareness or the ability to be perceiving psychically. And I will talk all about what that means. So that's pretty much interchangeable. However, the reason why I'm making this video is really that it's my personal vendetta to reframe the stigma around psychic work and psychic healing and intuitive work. I feel that it has gotten a lot of bad reputation, also because there are a lot of bad practitioners out there that are abusing their power, that are don't have ethical ways of practicing and ethical boundaries around the work that they do, and so people are kind of repelled by it and sort of shrugged off and laughed off, sort of like, well, if you believe in that, and it's not a matter of believing. And I think as part of this shift in consciousness, it is super important that we reframe that, because intuition, not only do all of us have it, and it is a wonderful way of tapping into our own guidance and a wonderful way of receiving guidance and being able to walk forward and really live a meaningful life, um, and a joyful life too, that is not rooted in fear but in love. Intuition it's also really healing to be able to see a really good intuitive practitioner, to really recognize when an intuitive practitioner is in their power, when they come from an ethical standpoint, where they're not trying to rip people off or um, you know sort of fear monger them into coming back and taking their power from them. And in that way, it can be a super therapeutic and very powerful healing modality that can really bring a lot of clarity if you see a practitioner that is aligned with the craft, and that really knows something about the craft. That said, these days, unfortunately, as I feel like psychic readers are often, sort of seen as like entertainment. Um, I rarely do any kind of psychic fairs or things like that, because I'm not going to be doing a pony trick for you. I'm not going to be, people are kind of coming and are saying, well, can you tell me something about this or that? And I say, well, this is not how it works. So this video is really for all of you out there who, number one, want to really know, how can I recognize a good practitioner from one that might be doing more harm than good, and then also to really explain what psychic uh, intuition, psychic awareness, that intuitive work, what it actually is, based on how I perceive it, based on how spirit taught it, and based on how I do it. Um, and that's not to say that there might be other practitioners out there that have a different process. I do believe that there are certain red flags for practitioners, that if you see that, then you might want to stay away from it. But I also would like all of you to stay open-minded and to really not just laugh it off and say this is not real, because it actually is, as real as it gets. And I will explain in a little bit why I say that. So, in talking about intuition, I think we need to start with the fact that we are spirit in a body, right? We're having a spiritual experience in a physical body, not the other way around. A spiritual experience in a physical body, but we're spirit in a body, and as such, we all have come in with some kind of awareness of where we've come from, that spiritual realm that we've come from, and that guidance and that support that is available for us over on that other side. You can see it in kids when they come in and they tell mommy and daddy, oh, I just saw grandma, and maybe grandma passed away. And often, especially in past generations, that was shrugged off as well. That kid has a vivid imagination. That kid is, oh, she's talking about stuff again, right? But I really want to also encourage parents to please not shrug it off, because it is exactly that stage when the spirit is not fully merged with the body yet, that children do in fact actually still access their spiritual gifts, and part of that is their intuition. And a lot of kids can actually see deceased loved ones. They can actually perceive colors. I've seen it in my own kids, and and my daughter's been, she's still very tiny, but she's been telling me amazing things. So um, not to shrug it off. We all come in with it, and we all have that ability and that capability. Okay, but we all also come in with free will, which is the beauty of this universe. Is we have free will. Yes, we have contracts, and yes, we have certain things that we want to do here on planet Earth. Yes, there's lessons, and there's feelings and emotions and things that we want to work through, and I will get to that in a later video because I got a lot of questions on that. But like, that is all true, and it all plays sort of into the fabric of the universe and the fabric of who we are here on planet Earth. But fundamentally speaking, in this lifetime, in this body on this planet, the beauty of it is that by design, higher source energy, consciousness, God is whatever you want to call it, whatever your name for it that is, has designed the universe to give us free will. And that's beautiful, because that means we have a lot of power, right? We have power over our own life. We can make decisions. That's the greatest power we have. We make decisions all the time. The biggest decision we make every day is fear over love, right? Or love over fear. How am I going to act in the world? How am I going to resonate with the world? Am I going to come from a place of fear, of saying, oh my God, everybody's out to get me? Now there's, whatever else, wars happening, or what's going on with the disease, and, or am I coming from a loving place where I give people the benefit of the doubt, where I'm compassionate with others as I'm compassionate towards myself? So free will is a really big piece in the piece of intuition, okay? What another big piece is that as spirit in the body, we're actually energy at its core, right? You might have heard, when people talk about death, and Einstein actually said that energy cannot be destroyed. Energy can only be changed. So this is also a beautiful example of how we're merging science with religion, or spiritual concepts, metaphysics, right? And we're kind of elevating above dogma and religion, which is not working for a lot of people. And this is really a beautiful example of it, okay? So we're really energy. Everything about us is energy. Even our physical body is energy, just vibrating at a very low frequency. And this is not something I'm making up. I mean, you can read about this in physics book and get all mathematical about this. So, everything about us is energy. And so this energy is what most intuitive readers will read when they read you. So when you say an intuitive reading, really what they're reading is your energy. Your energy, though, is made up of the different levels. So we have different levels of existence. We have our physical body, we have our mental, emotional body, we have our spiritual body. So we have several bodies that make up our existence, that make up our frequency. And based on this frequency, we will draw things into our life. So if we vibe at a very low frequency, and our thoughts are constantly negative, and we're constantly thinking in fear, and we're constantly thinking somebody's out to get us, then that's exactly what we're going to see in life. Okay. This is hard for some people to hear, because they're like, well, what do you mean I've manifested this bad thing in my work, in my life? It's not necessarily that you manifested it. Who knows? Maybe it was also karmic. Maybe you chose it as a way of a lesson. It really doesn't matter, and it's very specific to the person. But the matter of the fact is that we have that power to upshift our frequency or to downshift our frequency, which is the whole, idea behind manifestation theory and law of attraction. And it's beautiful because we can choose whether or not we want to engage in practice, habits, and healing, work that will upshift our frequency so we can draw more positive experiences into our lives, or downshift, right? So when you see an intuitive healer, if they're really good at their craft, then not only do they understand that you have free will and they will explain that to you, they will also tell you that they cannot predict something. Okay? When people come to me, I will always tell them, listen, I cannot predict if you're going to end up with XYZ down the line and you're going to get married to them, because you have free will and they have free will. The only thing that I can tell you is that based on right now, I can take a snapshot of your energy, of your frequency, and this energy, this frequency will give me information. It will give me information in your, based off of your energy field and based off of the beings that are in your energy field, which might be angels, ascended masters, loved ones on the other side, whoever is supporting your life. And they will give me information that will be helpful for you so that you can upshift in frequency so that that might happen. Or maybe you're going to meet somebody even better and you're going to have the dream marriage of your life. So really what I'm here for is to help you read your energy, help you translate that, help validate that, because many people are very intuitive themselves, and I will get to that in a minute, but help you validate that, and then help you step into your own power of making decisions that will get you to a place that you want to be in. So so that's the reason why I always say I cannot predict an outcome. Okay, so most likely, if, let's call him Tom decides to stay on the same track as Linda, who's seeing me for reading, is, then, based on those energies that I'm reading in that moment, if they both stay on that same track and they keep deciding, the same things, then most likely down the line they might end up. But let's say Tom, one day to the next, saw a YouTube video that completely changed his frame of reference, and he decided to do certain things like healing work and other things. It might be that he, might go in a totally different direction and the time frame will be skewed. Doesn't necessarily mean they will never be married. If they had a contract to be married, they might still be married, right? It might just be that Tom has to go, do a little detour, down the beach. But it's based on that free will. So when people say, well, what do you mean? You told me this was going to happen, this and then. This actually has never happened to me. But, when they say, well, this person told me this was going to happen, that really worked out, so I really don't believe in this. Then I always say, well, what do we know? Maybe that person, decided to go down a different route. Maybe if they were staying on decided the same things constantly, and like I said, we make decisions all the time, right? Then that would have ended up. But it just so happened that there were certain interferences and certain different other decisions that just didn't make that end up. That doesn't mean that the intuitive in that moment didn't read right. It just means that we decided to decide differently. So that said, this is a really big piece in intuitive readings, okay? The reason why I say to really see if that, reader understands that concept is because in some way, readers who make predictions incur somewhat bad karma, I would say, because they put you on a path, okay? If I tell you, like, let's say you're madly in love with your neighbor, but your neighbor doesn't know about it, and I tell you, oh, you're definitely going to end up with that neighbor, then I'm going to put you on a thought path of, I'm definitely going to end up with that neighbor, right? But is that for your highest good? Well, I don't know. I'm not God, right? I'm just a human being with an intuitive ability, right? The only person that knows is, the person upstairs and yourself, your own intuition. So I often will give people, the question back, and I will give them a choice, and I will say, well, if you continue on this path, this is going to happen. If you continue on this, this is going to happen. Reading should always be positive in nature. So the outcome of it should always be, for your highest good, for the highest healing. it's always a very good sign when people tell you, I'm sorry, I cannot predict. I don't predict. And you will see readers who will say, I don't predict, I just read your energy and I can give you guidance based on your energy. Great sign. If people tell you I have 100% prediction rate, run for the hills, because they're going to put you on a path that might not be your highest good path, right? You have a free will, that's by design, and you're meant to tap into your own intuition, and you're meant to take that power back. Okay, don't let the power be taken from you by some reader. Speaking about power, a lot of readers will take power away from you by fear mongering. Okay, if a reader tells you that there's a curse on your family or that somebody's going to die at this or that time, run for the hills. Please, people, run for the hills, because that again puts people on a path, and it's awful. It really is awful. That reader might see that, there's something of that nature might happen, but unless it's of absolute paramount, need to communicate that somehow to the person, who's that reader to tell you that, right? I mean, again, readers aren't God. So, let's take them down from the pedestal and make them human again, and really see them for who they are. We're human beings, and we just happen to have wanted to develop that ability of intuition, which we all have, we all are born with, and we're all in this new age also encouraged to develop. Okay. Now, lastly, before I close this video, I do want to talk a little bit about intuition and how we all have it. Okay. Often readers are kind of put on this pedestal, and they're like, wow, how can you read energy, or how can you do all this? And I always, people say, well, anybody can do it, right? It's like anything on this planet. If you're inclined musically and you really love the piano and you practice, 1,000 hours plus, I don't know how much it is, right? Then you're going to become really proficient at playing the piano, and you might likely end up at Carnegie Hall or some other big music hall, right, with thousands of people cheering for you. Does that mean that that person is necessarily, more capable? Yes, sure, they might have more of a talent, right? But it's also they practiced it more, they were more interested in developing it. And it's the same thing with intuition. Okay, some people are interested in developing their intuition, other people are like, I don't really care about that, I'd rather be see the reader of my choice, and then really kind of go with them and let them guide me and validate my own feelings. I don't really need to sit in meditation thousands of hours to be able to separate my human self from that divine self, that immortal self that's within us. Okay. And that's really all it is. So if you're wanting to develop your own intuition, I would highly recommend starting a meditation practice, because it's the best way to really start sort of noticing the differences between that subtle realm, that is that magical realm where you get the information from, as well as the difference to the human mind or the human realm, where we constantly are thinking. It's busy minding. We second guess ourselves and all of that. Meditation helps quiet the monkey mind, and once you start quieting the monkey mind, you actually make room for that divine voice to come in and speak with you. So meditation is probably the most important thing if you want to start developing your own intuition. And again, anybody can develop their own intuition. It's nothing special. It's nothing. I believe that down the line, as part of this whole consciousness evolution, we're all going to be extremely intuitive and remain extremely intuitive, because we're not going to be so domesticated. It's not going to get shut down in the ways that it was shut down previously. But this is going to happen also as awareness raises around these topics, and as parents are more open towards their kids who come in with these gifts. And we currently have a really big flood of highly spiritual, highly evolved, and very gifted babies and kids coming into this planet. It's all by design. Whatever's being demolished right now, they're going to rebuild it when we're old and ready to leave and scoot on over to the other side again. So I hope that video was somewhat helpful to kind of pinpoint what makes a good psychic reader and what is psychic intuition and all of that. I'll definitely be making more videos about this because I feel very called. I think this is the sign of the tide, or the tide of the sun. Well, I don't know exactly. Yeah, it's the sign of the times. That's what I wanted to say. The sign of the times, to kind of educate people around this and make them aware. So with that said, I will see you for another video next weekend. I always post my videos on either Saturday or Sunday, depending on when I can record them. So I will see you next weekend for another video. Again, my name is Dr. Christine. If you're interested in connecting with me, you can go to my website. That's www.drchristine.com. No, actually, www.itsdrchristine.com. It's drchristine.com. One word. I'll put it right there so you can see it as well. So you can connect with me there. And please subscribe. Please share this as a way of educating other people around this and the therapeutic piece of this, please, because this is paramount in these times. This is going to get people to really understand what's happening with them, with the world. This is part of this evolution of consciousness we're going through. So please subscribe, please share, and yeah, and check out my work if you're interested in, and I'll see you next week. Goodbye.